Hello and good afternoon or good morning at lunchtime. I don't know if anybody's watching, but this is the first of three meetings that we have for federal programs here in Fort Stockton ISD. And today is May 4th. It is 12 noon. And I'm going to go ahead and start. Thank you for being on with us today. Thank you for being on. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to put 3 links inside the chat, and it looks like Twitter's having a little bit of trouble. What I may have to do is unlink Twitter and then redo Twitter. But if you are on YouTube or Facebook or on our website, you can ask questions and you can watch this live as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a couple of links. The first one is going to be a Padlet. You can ask. Padlet is for people who may not be able to ask questions because they don't have Facebook or they don't want to ask questions on YouTube. They can ask questions different ways. But one of the questions that they can ask is through Padlet. And I'll go back at the end of this and answer those questions if anybody has anything. Shout out to Patsy. Hi, Patsy. Hope you're doing well there at the high school. Feeding our wonderful kids. Patsy does a great job of feeding our kids at the high school, her and her ladies. So shout out to Patsy for doing that for us today. So the Padlet link is, let me get it. And Padlet is for questions. You can ask questions on Facebook and YouTube if you want as well. But you can use the Padlet. So there's the Padlet link. Hi, Yvonne. Yvonne is at the middle school. Shout out to Yvonne as well for feeding our kids at the middle school. Good job for Yvonne and all the wonderful ladies in the cafeterias who are serving our kids meals today. We are testing, I believe, at the high school today. So high school is a little different show for today, and so and everybody will be testing, and I'll go over a little bit of that information as well. And so the other thing I need you to do is, if you don't mind signing in, let me put this link in there. I'll put sign in sheet. All right. And it is there. And they're also on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. And like I said, I'll have to get with technology to figure out why Twitter's not taking the posts. And so it may be a different setting issue. And then the last thing I'm going to post is a CTE CLNA, which is just a comprehensive needs assessment that we do for our school. So I'll explain for this. And there's that huge link. Okay, so there's 3 links. One is a sign-in sheet. The other one is Padlet link. If you want to ask questions, you can. If you want to ask questions on YouTube or Facebook, you can. If you want to go through the Padlet and do that, you can also do that as well. It's just giving people options that they are able to do throughout the meeting that we have. I'll try to get this done in an hour. Well, this is the first of 3. We'll have another one on Thursday at 5 o'clock or 5:30. And then we'll have another one Saturday morning at 10. So, yeah, I believe it's at 5:30 on Thursday. So, with that being said, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to show you my screen. And I'm going to share my screen. This one here. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And again, this is just the first of 3 meetings. If you notice here, this is today at noon. Then we have Thursday at 5:30 and Saturday at 10. Before I go on, there is a s'more. And I want to share with you this s'more. We shared with everybody the s'more information back Monday. We had a meeting, I think at noon. Yesterday, we did another meeting at noon. There's some things that I just want to remind some of our staff. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, but I want you to know that everybody in the district is a teacher, including at home. Everybody is a district, whether they're the cafeteria worker, whether they're a janitor, whether they're a custodian, whether they're a secretary, they are all a teacher. So with that being said, thank you for helping us grow our kids and grow each other as well. We know that many times teachers are sometimes a thankless job, but we do appreciate all the things that our teachers, paraprofessionals, secretaries, counselors, cafeteria workers, custodians do. So if you want to thank somebody, there is a link right there. If you click on that link, it goes to this screen right here, and you can thank anybody in the district. Ask for a little bit of information, and so that is there. The other thing is that we have Kindergarten Roundup for Alamo and Elementary. That is there as well. And the Kindergarten Roundup information is here. If you click on this, it's in English and Spanish. If you click on it, it takes you to a PDF document that shows you the information, what you need for Kindergarten Roundup. There, if you scroll down, there's two videos. There's one from Alamo. There's one from Apache, kind of welcoming all our kindergarten students to their schools. The next information on that some more is information about our federal programs meetings, which this is the first one, and some more information on there. If you know anybody who wants to be a school bus driver, whether they have a CDL or not, we're going to help them get their CDL. So if you need a job and you can pass a background check and you can have a good clean driving record, you know, you can drive for the schools. We'll teach you how to drive a bus. We'll help you get your CDL. We'll get you through all the driving school. Coach Peters is going to help with the driving school. Deputy Hernandez with the Sheriff's Department is going to help as well. We also have James Warnick, the Transportation Director, who's going to help as well. We also enlist the help of some DPS troopers to help us as well. And so with that being said, if you want to be a bus driver, come on board. We will help you become a bus driver. This is just some testing information. And if you know, high school started testing today. Good luck to them. May the 4th be with them on Tuesday today. And then this is just contact information. There is a thank you video here. We'll add another thank you video, which links up to this video right here that we do whenever people fill out the thank an FSISD staff member. So with that being said, that is what we're going to do. Now, here's what the Padlet looks like. If you go to the original links, there is a Padlet that you can type a question here. Like we say, hey, when is school out in May? If you notice what happens, you can type a question and it pops up there at the bottom. You can do it anonymously. That's fine. Or you can ask a question with your name on it. It's not a big deal. We'll do the best we can, and we thank you for being very patient while we do this. And so the next thing that I'm going to go into is the annual federal programs meetings. Okay, great. So with that being said, the main portion of federal programs is what we call Title I, Part A, and that really affects anybody who's economically disadvantaged or academically disadvantaged, whether it's they struggle with tests, they struggle with passing their tests, their classes, they have trouble coming to school, and then as well as economically disadvantaged students as well. And so that is what, and so because of the requirements, we have to do these meetings. So let me present here. So part of the requirements is we have a parent-student compact, and parents have rights, which we do put in the teacher handbooks. And it is the whole idea is intended to improve student academic achievement. That is the whole idea for the parent-student compact. It talks about activities in the classroom. It talks about decisions that are being made as far as policy and how parents can help with their schools and being partners in education with the schools and helping their children. And so we do appreciate all you parents who do that. And so thank you very much. The other part of it is that we have district improvement plans and campus improvement plans. And within those plans, we have committees who meet together 2 or 3 times a year, maybe once in the fall, once in the spring, just to kind of go over the plans. And so the whole idea is to go over the plans and how we can increase student achievement and how we can help students grow, how we help them socially, mentally, emotionally, all those things that sometimes you don't think about it, but in reality, sometimes if kids aren't safe, if kids don't feel safe, if kids don't feel well, they're not able to learn at all. So we have to address all those things to help our students in our schools. In that policy and compact, there is required for elementary schools, that's our Alamo, Apache, and 4th and 5th grade campus, where we are able to, parents will meet at least once a year with those teachers. And we usually try to do that the first Wednesday after the first 6 weeks. This year was a little off due to COVID-19 and not getting people in schools. And so we are probably going to look at doing that next year, where we will meet with our teachers and parents and students at the elementary level. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the only time you can meet with your parents or the schools. You can always meet, call your school up and say, hey, I want to meet with so-and-so. They have, with whatever teacher it is, they can have they have conference periods where they can discuss your child and your child's academics or your child's needs. And so we do encourage people to do that all the time. So the other thing that the policy and compact address is that we have those flexible meetings. Like, for example, this is one right now. We have a flexible meeting where people don't have to come anywhere. They can log in. You don't have to have a Facebook. You don't have to have Twitter. You don't have to have an account. If you go to the school's website, you go to YouTube, Stockton ISD YouTube, you'll find us. There's links there. And so you can, and then there's also a Padlet that you can comment if you want to. And so that's what all this is about. It's just to get us out there with the parents, to be transparent, to be able to answer any questions that we may need. Now, I will tell you this, the number one place to get help with your child or anywhere else is at the campus level. And so please get with your principals and visit with them about anything that you may need, whether it's curriculum, as we're talking here, anything you have to discuss with your child's school, please do so. That is the number one thing to do, is visit with your school, because they'll know what's going on. They will know. They'll be able to help you much more than I do. Sometimes people call up here, then I have to do a lot of research and look at people's grades and things like that to kind of figure out what's going on. So your number one place is to go to the school. The school parent compact basically is a written agreement which describes how parents, families, and schools all work together to address how kids are learning in school and what parents can do to help their students. And parents have the right to be involved with their students, and we want that. We want parents involved. We do appreciate all that from our parents. And then there's a curriculum. We follow the state's curriculum when it comes to what we teach in schools, whether it's third grade reading to seventh grade writing to high school biology to auto tech shop classes, art class, you name it. There is a curriculum that is based upon what the TEKS, and the TEKS are the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. And so there's certain things that we have to teach. And because of that, that's what we do. And so there's other things we have to consider. We consider the state's academic standards, which are the TEKS, the STAR testing calendar, and our school calendar, are all in place throughout the year to teach all the things that we're required to teach. In the meetings, we inform about the opportunity for parent meetings, flexible times, again, distribute materials for home learning activities, which we've done quite a bit this year and through last year. And then we use social media to convey any other thing, because if it's on Facebook, it's usually the number one place we'll realize where parents go to get information. So we try to put things on there, and Mrs. Subia at Technology has done a great job of making sure that's up to date as best we can. But I will tell you, a lot of times people want to ask questions on Facebook or Twitter or social media that we're not really discussed. There's two things we can't discuss. It's students and staff. Students because of the privacy issues, and staff due to the fact that it's personnel issues. And so we're not able to discuss a lot of things that we're able to discuss with parents about their children. But outside of that, that's about as far as we can go. And sometimes people want to know everything, but unfortunately we're not able to do that. So we do appreciate those of you who understand that, and those of you who are conscientious of that, just like any other work area, workplace. An employer really can't discuss an employee except with that employee. So there's a reservation of funds, which basically says that anytime there's funds exceeding $500,000, we do have to set 1% aside for family engagement. And what we do with that is we help pay for salaries. The majority of our federal funds and state funds is used to pay salaries. It helps offset the costs so that we can lower classroom sizes, keep people helping people. For example, in this case, we use Mrs. Stella Casas, who is our parent liaison, who goes out and helps parents figure out things, whether it's meals, whether it's buses, whatever it is. That's what she goes and helps. And so we shout out to Mrs. Casas for going above and beyond to help kids get to school and help as she helps parents and families and even teachers and principals just help kids get the most out of their education. So part of that money we use to set aside is for that. And so it's set aside for parent-family engagement, which is Mrs. Godson. So shout out to her. The other part is teacher qualifications when it comes to Title I, Part A. Schools are required to notify parents that can request information regarding the qualifications of a teacher. So anytime that teachers or parents want to know about teachers' qualifications, they can go online to SBEC, or they can call their school and say, hey, I need to know about my teacher's qualifications or my student, whether it's a math teacher, science teacher, whatever teacher it is. So that is another part of what schools are offering to their parents. Parents' right to know, again, we're talking about teacher certification. There's a law that says if we have somebody who's uncertified in a classroom, that we have to inform the parents of that class after 4 weeks of instruction that they're not certified. Now, that a lot of times people think, well, that ain't right, this and that. Well, here's the deal. If you look at like some private schools and charter schools, they do not have to follow this rule. They can get anybody with a degree to come in and teach, and they don't have to be certified. Texas schools, private and charter schools sometimes don't have to do that. We do. But here's what we do. We also use a lot of alternative certification programs. There's programs out there that a person gets into, and it helps them be a better teacher while they're working. And so because of that, we do that. There's also some career and technology teachers. For example, we have a police officer who we have an ex-police officer who worked as a police officer for 15 years. And because of that experience, they are allowed to come in and teach our law enforcement classes. Same thing with whether it's we also have a lady who's worked in the marketing field and computers. Well, she can come in with her work experience, which is tied into what we have to teach our kids in school based upon the TEKS and the state standards. They're able to teach those classes. We've had an ex-attorney before. No, not an ex-attorney. We've had an attorney teach some classes for us as well. It's kind of crazy because what was happening is there were schools that were saying, hey, how can these people, here's another example. We have people who can teach colleges, have all this education and degrees and stuff, but then they don't have a teacher certificate per se to teach high school kids. But because there's certain rules and laws, we're able to do that. So we do inform parents of that, and they have the right to know that. And that's just the way it is. And we've been doing that for years. And then we evaluate the content and effectiveness of the engagement policy at the end of the year, just to kind of see, is there anything that we are missing that maybe be an issue, so that way we're struggling to get parent engagement. And so we do evaluate that with our principals and our staff and our special ed director and our technology director and our bilingual ESL director. We do all those things to help figure out what we're doing to make sure that we can get kids in school learning at the very best they can. Now I'm going to go on to comprehensive local needs assessment. This is kind of important that we have to do, but every year we have to report on the report that was given to us by the state of Texas. And so if you notice here, this is a Perkins 5 indicator for your graduation rate for the 2021 school year. And if you notice, the statewide number was 97% for career and technology learners. Career and technology are things like metals, woodshop, auto tech, ag, the nurse aid classes, the robotics classes we have, the computer classes we have, all those marketing classes we have. And so the law enforcement classes, those are all career and technology classes. And so these are the indicators that we have. So then we have to grade ourselves compared to the state. So the 4-year graduation rate statewide is 97% for those career and technology learners. Ours is 95%. The academic proficiency for reading and language is 58%. Ours is at 42%. The academic proficiency in mathematics is 47%. District is 41%. And here's what you need to think about. This is compared to all these schools in Texas. Okay, there's a post-program placement, and if you notice, this one we are above in the post-program placement, which basically says our kids do really well after they graduate high school. Compared to the state of Texas. And then there's the non-traditional program concentration. The state is 50%, the district is 36%. You're probably wondering what that is. That's basically this. It says, are there boys in what we would consider home economics, but it's now considered family consumer science? Do we have boys in those classes? Because typically boys aren't in those classes. And on the other end of that is, do we have girls who are in auto tech classes? Well, you can't really force kids to be in those classes, but you can encourage them. But although we are being graded on that, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's just the way it is. Program quality, attained, recognized, 8% and 8%. So our program quality for our district is compared to very comparable to what CTE learners across the state are. And then program quality, the CTE completer, the kids who start out in a what's called a coherent sequence program of study, where they're, for example, in woodshop 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so some kids start out in woodshop and say, you know what, I really don't want to do this. I like cooking. Or they may say, I want to be a chef one day, but then they change their mind and say, you know what, I just want to go to school to be a teacher, whatever it is. So that's what that indicator is about. Here's another indicator. This is basically this chart here, but they put it in a funny little chart like this. And if you know 3S1, we are above the curve there, and that's where 3S1 is right there. So it's basically the same chart. It just looks where these things, we are the orange and the state is at the blue, and we are doing really well at this part, in which we have places to grow, and we know that. And then your district CTE performance was lower than your district on non-CTE. So the thing about this is the district CTE learners are here, and then the non-CTE learners are here. So our kids in CTE do better compared to kids who are not in any CTE classes, which we knew that. We always knew our CTE kids are doing well, and a lot of that has to do with a lot of the classes are hands-on, and so we know that they do better in situations with that. Our kids do really well with that. Then this here is a district ranking as far as where our kids stand when it comes to the labor market alignment. We have the majority of our students who like business, marketing, and finance. Then there's human services, health science, hospitality and tourism, manufacturing, education and training, transportation, distribution, logistics, which is just auto tech. And then there's architecture and construction, which is wood shop. No, that's wood shop. And then manufacturing is metals, ag, information technology, considered computers, and so is arts, audio, visual technology, communication, and law and public service. Manufacturing, the one that's a little funny is like our robotics classes and things like that. They're actually considered business, marketing, and finance because they're going out to go work in the oil field industry with our robotic classes and energy classes that we have. So that's where those are at. This next thing is just a link to, we need some input, which it'll be posted out after today or tomorrow. We just need some input on career and technology and vocational input. If you click on this, it'll be a form that you fill out, and I'll show you here in a little bit. This here is the public notice of funds for federal and state programs. So what does that mean? Well, we have several different public or federal and state programs that we get some money from the government, whether it's the federal government or the state government. The first one is Title I, Part A, which serves educational disadvantaged kids or economically disadvantaged kids. The next one is Title I, Part C, Migrant, which is migrant kids. And these are just codes that we use to help know where those funds are allocated in the district. They're just numbers that we use for business and finance runs and things like that. So Title II, Part A is for teacher high quality and retention. Title III is ELA, which is English language acquisition money. Title IV is educational disadvantage as well, which is economically disadvantaged as well. Which Title IV links to Title I. There's Perkins CTE, which is all career and technology. There's Title V, which is rural education. Since we are considered in rural Texas, we do get a little bit more money for that. SCE is state compensatory education, which is considered any kids at risk, and there's about 13 or 12 different indicators of what considers a kid at risk. if they fail the grade level, if they fail the STAR test, if they are in juvenile probation, if whatever the situation is, they're a foster kid, there's at-risk indicators. Then there's a CARES Act. That's kind of new. That's all related to COVID-19. And then there's the Special Education Funds, or the IDEA, Individuals with Disability Education Act, Special Education, and Preschool. The majority of our funds, almost 100% of them, are provided for extra staffing in the district to lower class sizes. That is the majority of what our funds are used for, with the exception of the CARES Act ESSER 1, and then there's also ESSER 2 and 3 coming down the road, and so we'll be waiting for guidance on that. The COVID-19 thing, funds from the CARES Act right now, it's a little bit different, but for the most part, everything else is used to pay for smaller classroom sizes, to add more people to the payroll, so we can give kids more one-on-one instruction than we can if we didn't do that. So that's the majority of what our money is used for. That being said, there is the contact information for all campuses. Rob Verado, the high school principal, and the Chavez, the middle school principal, Mrs. Urias at intermediate, Betty McAllister at Apache, and Sabrina Cordova at Alamo. And with that being said, I think I'm done. So let me see if there's any questions. There's no questions on the Padlet. I'm going to type any questions. Maybe not. There won't be any. I am going to ask that people fill out the federal program sign-in sheet. So if you did, great. If you have not, this is the link here. Do this. Please sign in on this form. Thank you. And then the last thing I'm going to do is please fill out the Psych ISD Career and Technical Educational Vocational Input Form. Okay. Woo! That's a long name. Okay. Okay. With that being said, I think we're good. So if you have any questions, I don't see any more questions. I may have to do some practice runs to see why the Twitter's not working right. I'm not too sure. I may have to just delete the account and then go back and forth. There's no questions on the Padlet. I don't see any questions on the meeting at lunch. I do shout out to Miss Patsy and to Yvonne again at the cafeterias. And just a reminder, if you want to share with us some great information about people doing excellent things in our district, there's a s'more out there that you can do that. And it is 12:29. Thank you for being with us today. We do appreciate that. I will see you on Thursday. Shout out to the 8 people who are still on. Arcelia, Ms. Barragon, and Cynthia, thank you for liking this video. You guys have a great day. Happy Tuesday, and be safe.